You spread your kindness, you spread your assistance, you spread your concern to everybody because everybody needs your help. You are not a YB for one race. Same thing with me. I'm not the governor for Melayu. I'm the governor for every single human being in Sarawak.
Tun, what was it like when you learn about your appointment sebagai Yang di-Pertua Negeri Sarawak?
Sejarah hidup saya tu si pandai excited. So apa yang kadang-kadangnya apa yang datang saya terima dengan macam ni aja. Sebenarnya pelantikan saya jadi Gubernur Sarawak si ada mendatangkan satu perasaan excitement dan sebagainya. Kerana desas susuh saya dah banyak gila. So bila desas susuh saya banyak gila, bahkan konsultasi berhubung dengan peringkat awalnya pun saya dimaklum awal. Jadi maknanya there was no real surprise for me. Jadi saya tahu apa masalah, apa rintangan dan proses-proses sebab apabila saya dimaklumkan oleh Perdana Menteri long before that, saya kata kalau itulah keputusan Premier dan keputusan kerajaan Sarawak, kerana akhirnya pelantikan daripada Tuanku Agong. So di bawah perundangan very clear. Jadi sedikit sebanyak orang nak tahu juga dengan opinion saya on the question of appointment of governor. Jadi saya menentukan bahawa the process and procedure mesti correct. I will not have anything less than that. Jadi bila dimaklumkan sebelum 26 Januari, saya nang dah tahu awal daripada ya. Jadi berpayalah munada saya nyebut quite a surprise. It's just accent aja lah.
Apa perasaan Tun pada ketika itu selepas dilantik?
Sebenarnya bila dah naknya jadi satu realiti ya. Desas susus is another one. Bila jadi reality iaitu the day surat diterima dan dijemput datang ke istana untuk Agong menyampaikan watika kurang lebih seminggu sebelumnya. Perasaan yang nang bercelaru lah. Perasaan bercelaru oleh kerana hidup sebagai orang biasa dan hidup sebagai menteri dah saya alami dan saya dapat mengatasi semua masalah-masalah yang saya hadapi. Ni nak cara jadi menteri, nak jadi speaker, bahkan satu kedudukan yang amat tinggi sekali sebagai President of the Senate dalam protokol negara nombor 3 selain daripada tuanku lah. Jadi saya mandang naknya, tapi hidup saya masih biasa. Ni tak macam biasa. Selepas subuh saya masih boleh go into my car, get the key. Bila Tuan Puan kira si mau nak turun ikut saya sikit keluar, dapat ambil motorkar pun, no driver, no pengiring, no nothing. Saya sih pernah mula nak macam ni. Jadi menteri pun bila saya pergi ke kedai kopi, macam dak kedai dak Yong Hua, pergi ke Red Corner, pergi ke kedai Pian, pergi ke Tok Janggut. Tok Janggut anak-anak saya mesti kata mesti pergi. Kedai Pian, office saya di atas ya. Tidak depan di atas, saya tunggah, saya turun ke bawah saya. I come by myself, I drive. Cuma madah dengan sidak, can you get the car park ready so that I didn't have to look for car park. Nah, jadi bila di kedai di Yonghua, very easy, car park always available. Suka tingkah je. So I never had any worry about anything at all. Jadi bila naknya lah nyuruh saya bercelaru, mula jadi gamno tu ni kaya with all the protocol, like entourage, the bodyguard, apa ya. So how to that one in that kind of environment. Jadi daripada soal tugas dan tanggungjawab dengan saya is nothing true, masalah. Oleh kerana theoretically sebagai seorang pengkaji undang-undang dan juga boleh dikatakan quite mahir lah dalam undang-undang, perlembagaan dan government. Jadi dengan saya tahu semua nak pandai dipolah lah. Jadi percumanya cara hidup banyak agak nyuruh saya susah lah sikit tu. So adalah sikit perasaannya bila dah menerima autika. Bila tunggu sidun, biasanya kita duduk sebelah ya bersama dengan sidak menteri-menteri itu. Sekali tu seorang duduk, kami dua duduk, basingan kami dua ampun sia, Agong duduk sia, saya duduk sia. Tang pelik je saya duduk di impun aja macam ni anak. Bila nama dia announcement, pergi ke depan, tuanku turun, nyampaikan watikah. Jadi pada ketika ya memang perasaan dia naiknya lah. It's not kata orang bebas daripada perasaan berdebat juga lah. Kena peringkatnya, keadaannya adalah baru.
Tun, how did you familiarize yourself dengan protokol yang datang dengan jawatan TYT?
You asking a right question. Di antara semua tu saya dah hadapi, ialah satu-satu perkara yang masih saya orang kata familiarize myself. Ada sekali kami dua pagi hari saya madah dengan sidak motorkar saya daripada my rumah mbak situ. Jadi pagi-pagi saya dengan madah sini kunci motorkar kah? Ambil kunci motorkar. Madah kan? This is a real story ya. Saya madahnya kita dua pergi ke kedai ni. Itu Saturday atau Sunday nah. Kita dua pergi ke kedai alai beli mi macam biasa. Put on my tracksuit, pakai t-shirt. Kayak ambil kunci, masuk dalam motorkar. Drive keluar. Aksen aja dah polis buka nyasi dan nanggar gila. Itu dia real story bila nyana bukanya. Bila tengahnya buka ya, bila nangganya sebelah ya, nangga nak nuang tu katanya. Tu dalamnya. Alu kelang kabut tukup pintu, kami dua dah pum jalan dah. Lepas saya tahu lah. Sekejap macam rupanya emergency geng dia. Tidak ADC, dak security, semua emergency. Pegawai di luar ya, madah dengan semua orang yang perlu dipadahnya kena tugas tanggungjawabnya. Yang ada. Dalam masa sampai 10 minit, saya dah di kedai alai, dah ngodah mi dah. Ngodah mi Jawa, saya ngodah kolok mi, ngodah apa nama tu, sup nak ya. Tengah-tengah ngodah ya. Ngagak kakek motorkar nanya, you okay deh? Jangan duduk dalam motorkar, je sit tu keluarlah. Sit dress up properly. Jadi kata, okay. Lepas saya hanya madah. Rupanya dah silap special brand kek kanan dah ada. Dah ada orang dah nak makan macam sidak naknya macam kita tu lah. Dah smart je rupanya. Kita tahulah rupa tergak orang polis tu. Kek kanan nak besar-besar badan kek kanan dah. Rupanya tadi saya dimaklum lepas ya. Sidaknya bila menerima maklumat daripada security di situ, Sidak Tun berbincang sama dengan pun secara cepat. Di sini tempat Tun selalu pergi. Hari-hari macam tu. Jadi orang daknya split into number, check all the places that I've been to all the time. Because nyasi tahu sini saya pergi. Si ada orang tahu pun, dan kami dua aja. Rupanya di istilah kami orang pun kerja tadi, pecah pagar. Tun pecah pagar. Istana pecah pagar. Pecah pagar tu istilah diguna orang dalam police training school. bila orang training tak boleh pergi ke pasar, tak boleh ke mana, tak adanya keluar without permission ya, dia panggil pecah pagar. Jadi kami dua atik pecah pagar lah. Jadi bila dah habis, mi pun dah ready, semua sidak, orang sidak menanggal, kejut juga ada kedai lain, apa yang dah sidak, polis dah standby ke kanan, rupa dah bentuk polis dah nunggu dah. Bila saya keluar, driving keluar, saya jeraya saya pusing-pusing saya, dan sidaknya ni tahu gila dengan satu orang. Saya tu I'm very familiar, that's my area. Tidak polis super familiar. Saya di sidaknya pun adanya pergisia. Jadi saya madah lepas padah dengan padah dengan sidak. Suruh padah Sandy madah dengan sidak. Jangan nak bawa rider, saya nak berhenti depan motorkar orang macam biasa. Punya nak ngering-ngering di belakangnya. At my speed, jangan dikacau orang depan. Jadi ada sekali dua lah ngerja nak macamnya.
Tun, you serve as Deputy Speaker, Deputy Minister and Full Minister. Apa beza bertugas sebagai TYT dan Menteri Federal?
Soalan babnya macam tu. Masa saya jadi menteri, saya menjadualkan pergerakan saya. Contohnya, walaupun siapa mengadakan function, contohnya kalau masa saya jadi menteri, kena menteri federal, kalau pun pada Perdana Menteri, timbalan Perdana Menteri mengadakan satu-satu function, saya ada kerja saya pun, saya akan madah dengan sidak protokolnya, madah saya akan datang sebab saya ada tugas. Sebab pada saya, tugas saya lebih penting daripada menunjuk muka dengan Perdana Menteri ataupun timbalan Perdana Menteri. Sebabnya tugas kita ada masing-masing. Perdana Menteri ada tugas menyempun, timbalan Perdana Menteri ada tugas menyempun, saya ada tugas menyempun sebagai menteri. Saya siap perlu hadir nak Perdana Menteri, timbalan Perdana Menteri, saya siap perlu nunjuk muka. Tak perlu, asalkan saya melaksanakan tugas dan tanggungjawab saya. Tetapi di situ, walaupun jadual itu dijadual oleh orang lain, tetapi without my presence, tugas saya jadi. Jadi ya perbezaannya. Absent sebagai seorang menteri mari si jadang kesan kepada aktiviti. Melainkannya ada guest of honor melaksanakan projek ya. Tetapi kalau nya dah hadir untuk hadir macam tu saja, nya datang tak datang, si ada masalah gila. Nya si ada di tangga saja. Tetapi di situ apabila saya dah setuju, walaupun macam mana sekalipun, saya tetap akan datang. Sebab mun saya si ada, mana seluruh ketujuan fungsinya akan terjejas oleh kena ketidakhadiran saya. So jadi it is more rigid as compared to when I was a minister. My function is more rigid, the demand is more rigid, and most of my appointments are not fixed by me, fixed by others. Contohnya, kalau kita nanggap satu peristiwa pada bulan berapa, lupa saya bulannya lah. But I remember the date. On the 7th, we had a function di KL, the two of us. So you are from KL. So from KL on the 7th, after 2 or 3 days in KL, having some function, I got to fly all the way from KL to Miri, because that night Miri had the Chinese Tahun Baru Cina, Bun dinner. Then I attended the Chinese New Year dinner di Miri. That was on the 8th. So 7 I was in KL. On the 8th I was in Miri. And on the 9th I need to go to Limbang because there was another function di Limbang. So quite a different thing. One is the Chinese one, the one in Limbang was Islamic pun activity. Nuzul Al-Quran ke apa tu, lupa saya. Jadi di Limbang, then I went to Limbang overnight. Habis di Limbang, the next day on the 10th, I got to come back to Miri lagi, anak bulan. So, can you imagine, udah 3 days in KL, until the 7th, that means 5th, 6th, 7th, 8 di Miri, 9 di Limbang, 10 di Miri lagi. Then only I fly back 1 minggu. And another time was bila peristiwa Sultan Brunei punya birthday celebration. So we have to forge closer relationship, maintain the close relationship that we had dengan Brunei. So we had agreed to attend the function. Mula-mula saya dimaklumkan bahawa the function tuanku Brunei hari 15 hari bulan, 14 hari bulan arrive. Malamnya ada something, dinner. Then on the 15th, there's another dinner, banquet for the Sultan. But couple of days earlier, sebelum pergi then dimaklumkan the banquet was on the 16th, not on the 15th. The problem with the situation is, I got to fly in, stay another 3 days, pola my own program di Brunei, and on the 16th, attend the banquet. I got to take the flight again daripada malamnya. We finish around 11 o'clock and then we arrive KL about 2 o'clock in the morning. Sampai ke hotel I think around 4 o'clock. That two of us only went to sleep at 4 o'clock. But 9 o'clock I got to be in Astana Negara for the rulers conference. The rulers conference get another 2 days. So I didn't have sleep at all for that day. Udahlah my program on the 16th full. And then sampai jauh malam, pukul 4 baru tidur. And then I got to get up and dress up nicely to attend the rulers conference. 9:30 dah ada Astana Negara. So can you imagine my schedule? And then it's consecutive day, continuously with that one. But rulers conference, the most important is the pre-council, the first day. Not the next day. The next day is the endorsement. So jadi it become a little bit habit. Rupanya seminggu pergi. Jadi kami dua, bambak segala ada wardrobe. Kita pergi bukan makin macam tu aja. Macam tu aja senanglah hati kita. Adanya pakai coat, adanya pakai tuxedo, adanya pakai coat biasa, adanya pakai baju batik. So as a result of that, kita pun wardrobe got to travel with you all the way for that one whole week. So you got to make sure that you got enough stocking, you got to get undergarment, you got to have enough batik, you got to have enough all the thing you want to wear mesti enough. Jadi you make habit now ditulis satu persatu. For her and for me, tak 2 hari nang penuh ke tulis saja berapa IG nak timbak, berapa IG nak timbak. Kalau ndak ada masanya kelat. Rupanya kita dah repeat pakai baju batik, the same baju batik aja ya. Kena batik tu very distinctive color. Once the design is very distinctive, that means you cannot wear it twice. As if kata orang Sarawak, tahu kelakar orang Sarawak nyebut dah sedagin. Jadi you got to that one, the observe that one, all these things. And unlike before, we those days we have TYT have the what they call maid in waiting, who is looking after the tuan punya pakaian apa yang macamnya. Now after we didn't have it anymore. So and it's not complaining, but just telling you the reason why it become very essential. So it's always turut macamnya. So many of this function already. Not only that instead of daripada KL ke Miri, Kalimbang ke Miri lagi bawa balik Kuching. Nak ke Sibu Raya pun masih macam ni juga, teruskan Kuching. This one is also the same. On the 14 or 15? On the 13, going to Sri Aman. Pergi Sri Aman, daripada Sri Aman go to Mukah, overnight in Mukah, dan from Mukah go to fly to KL. Dan KL for 2 or 3 days, KL bawa balik situ. So it's always pusing macam ni. So that's the only thing I got to adjust myself. And there's another one, oleh kena, you got to see the distinction. Saya macam creating history. There are at least kadang-kadang 2 courtesy call daily di Astana. And then mungkin kita nangga orang ada nang muka tun aja dalam newspaper. Musik keluar susah juga Datuk Januari kena tunggah. Kena bukannya dua aja yang keluar dalam newspaper. Tapi that's the truth because it's every day ada sige 2 ataupun 3, maksimum kadang-kadang 3. Kadang-kadangnya ada sehari one whole day sampai 4-5. Not only di sana but also come back here. Yang si dalam jadual. Jadi I have created history, the number of courtesy call. The reason is very simple. Mungkin kita nanya, ada orang nanya dengan saya, kena jadi macam gila. It's not because of anything else. You remember Tun Taib evolved from being a chief minister. Then he became the governor. When he was a chief minister, he knows everybody, he knows all the head of department, he knows all the department already. But in this case, I'm a stranger from KL, you see? So when I came in, all the head of department wanted to see me. Just to brief me on their activity, apa the latest thing in that one, which they don't need to do that during Tun Taib's time. So jadi macam contohnya the head of department for the federal agencies, nearly 200. You bayangkan? Now this is why I suggest to Datuk Seri Wan Hamzah, cuba bincang dengan Sidak, boleh dia tu bagi grouping tak? So that's why yesterday 25. So kami dua, yang sedap sekali kami dua berdiri, duduk ambil gambar 26 kali. 26 kali. Ni dah bergambar the group, the whole lot, the head of department. Selepas head of department pun naiknya bergambar. Then each agency dengan yang pun bos bersama dengan orang datang sekali, 200 over officers and men datang. Jadi bila bergambar ya, Sidak satu agensi satu kali gambar, balik duduk ke kursi, kami dua duduk situ aja. Berdiri, shake hand, terima anak tu, duduk lagi, gambar. Jadi setengah Hamzah kata, ibu ajak berdiri, ada duduk lagi, katanya makin berdiri. Tak bagus. Kita bermula tadi ada duduk, ada berdiri. Jadi nak duduk tu, kena kami dengan berdiri aja, si duduk nanti waiti. Jangan kata jangan ubah. Biarlah saya kami dua up and down macamnya. So you see, that's the problem. So until most probably another 1 year, all this agency dah berjumpa dengan saya. The state baru 2-3 berjumpa. Itu dah federal. And beside that, there's a certain agency, certain group whom I wanted to meet.
What is your biggest challenge dalam tugas baru Tun?
Sebenarnya daripada sudut cabaran sih ada. Sudut cabaran saya pandang itu adalah satu tugas dan tanggungjawab. Saya pernah bekerja masa saya jadi Menteri Undang-Undang. I work about 10 to 15 hours a day. That is why I could achieve within 13 months. Minda perlembagaan. It's not easy. Orang kadang-kadang dalam masa 10 tahun pun si minda satu. So, you tanya orang jadi Menteri Undang-Undang. The problem is engagement dengan individual MP to explain to them about undang-undang. But in my case, I pindah 3 perlembagaan, introduce many policies only within 13 months. Orang kata impossible this thing could happen until University of Malaya dengan National University of Singapore mengadakan satu colloquium to debate on the question of pindahan perlembagaan yang banyak gila ya. Under the apa dikatakan the doctrine of basic structure, iaitu satu konsep ataupun satu falsafah mengatakan bolehkah tak kerajaan minda perlembagaan as and when they feel like to do it. Jadi dalam konteks the doctrine of basic structure tu ada 2 train of thought. Satu, first train of thought mengatakan no, you cannot, you can't do it. Second, of course, yes, because member of parliament representing the people. So the power of the people is sovereign. Kalau power of the people is sovereign, and therefore they can change anything in this country if you follow the procedure set by perlembagaan. So I'm now in the center as Minister of Law. So took me 2 weeks to to think and to draft the keynote address together with my officers. So finally, I came up with, I think it was about 1 hour lebih habis. Even though I was given only 45 minutes, invited to speak keynote address. I told the organizers, all professors, judges, daripada professors daripada Universiti Malaya dengan University National Singapore, dan judges daripada Pakistan, India, Australia, UK, Canada. Jadi, Amada, don't limit my time, because I want to say everything that I want to say. So it is about 1 hour, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 15 minutes, the speed at which I deliver. So when I delivered the speech, one of the judges from India, he said, this is the first time I heard a speech of a keynote address by a minister sound like, the decision made by the High Court in the courtroom, because it's so solid, all legalistic argument on the question of the right of the government to amend constitution as and when it is appropriate, subject to the condition laid down by the constitution itself. So jadi the question of tanggungjawab tugas as a governor become not very that one. I'm used to work overtime, more time, even though people said I'm beyond the age of some young ministers apa indah macam ni. No, not really. Kadang-kadang your brain matured more when you are growing old. This is why the hakim di England have no must serve the role as and when yang berhenti ataupun yang mati berhenti, because his brain is continue to develop, and people thinking the more you use your brain, the more your brain develop. That is why Mahathir is continue to be what he is, because he make use of his brain to argue. He cannot argue with himself all the time. He cannot argue with the wife all the time. So he argue everybody to develop his brain. This is just like body. Ada orang 80 lebih tahun masih run like 30 years old, 20 years old, because you develop your muscle just like you develop your brain as well. Jadi continue to use your brain will develop and it continue to be good. Jadi orang berhenti berkelakar, berhenti thinking, berhenti baca, that's the one that senile awal.
Perpaduan amat penting. Sir, how do you foster unity?
Ini penting ya. Dalam negara majmuk, Sarawak adalah sebuah negeri yang majmuk. Kita mempunyai bermacam agama, bermacam bangsa, budaya, bahkan language, bermacam-macam. We are really a melting pot of all. Now I tell you the story. When I want to pindah the perlembagaan, then I studied the perlembagaan persekutuan on the question of ethnic. Sarawak di bawah artikel 161 ialah 23 ethnic group di Sarawak. Dan over the years, rupanya masih banyak ethnic group. Saya sebut lamanya. You know why? When Tom Harrison did the study in 1960 yang diguna pakai sebagai asas perlembagaan pindaan 1963 sebelum Sarawak dan Sabah jadi part of Malaysia, is based on Tom Harrison pun study of 1960. Jumlah 23 ethnic group ya. Silah termasuk orang macam Dak Ranu Mina. Ingat tak Ranu Mina? Ranu Mina is a Selako, is not in the list. Therefore, who is Ranum? Yet we have the YB. Datuk Ranum Mina YB daripada OPA. Jadi kita sih ada listnya. Then who is she in so far as constitution is concerned? She ada. Then I had a long discussion dengan Gilbert Ipoh in 2014 it's not out of curiosity, nothing to do with all these things, because I always curious to know. I talked with Gilbert Ipoh madah dengan I, YB, he said, we have 43. So between 60 to 2014, that's how many years? We have increased the number of ethnic group. Then Gilbert Ipoh also told me, Datuk Sri, he said, the study is ongoing. There will be a lot more. Orang yang mau diklasifikasikan ngikut etnik sebenar. Jadi list ya progressively not yet over. Then bila I decided to pindah the perlembagaan 2021, I became Minister of Law. On Sunday, I called Datuk Talat dengan Datuk Sapri, now the President AG, to come to the office on Sunday. Tanya dengan sidaknya. We discuss about the pindaan. Then we discuss one whole morning. After I pergi pasar ikan, I went to the office. Discuss the question. I nanya. Then the soalan nama ethnic group. Tanya berapa banyak. I was informed 70 plus. Now, from 1960, 2014, 2021, sampai 70 lebih dah. So, Perlembagaan Persekutuan is no longer the place where the law should be. That's why I pindah that one. And then, thank God, Premier, I table dibentang dengan Premier, masanya occasionnya berjumpa. I bincang dengan Datuk Talat dengan Datuk Sapri masa ya, timbalannya. Kita setuju supaya Datuk keluar aja daripada Perlembagaan Persekutuan. Mbaknya ke Sarawak aja. Because this issue is only issue Sarawak. Jadi kedua-duanya setujulah dengan syarat Premier setuju. So Premier visited us in KL untuk meeting the Member of Parliament. I raise up this issue. Then I suggest to Premier supaya nak tu ditransfer ke negeri aja. Mansuhkan dalam Perlembagaan Persekutuan, bawa ke negeri. Supaya letak ke negeri. And do you know that what is the percentage of Malay Sarawakian married intermarriage? According to some record that I heard, not verified, ya. Kalau tanya dengan Datuk January orang universiti tu mau data. But based on the information, not based on research, I received is about 30%. It's a huge number Sarawak intermarriage. That's why banyak, based on our constitution, banyak macam saya dengan anak saya tu bukan Bumi Putra lah nya. Sebab my wife was bukan Bumi Putra. Datuk Fadilah, bini Melayu, orang Melayu Semenanjung. Anak bukan Bumi Putra. I said, Tan Sri J. Masing, babini orang putih. Anak bukan Bumi Putra. Osim Orang, babini orang putih. Bukan anaknya Bumi Putra. The same thing goes with Datuk Michael Manyin. Berkahwin dengan Cina, lah anaknya Bumi Putra based on Perlembagaan Persekutuan mari. Jadi saya kata that's the best way to neutralize this thing. So I pindah dia kan, malamnya bentang Premier kata, ya setuju. So that open for me to remove that one from federal. It's up to me to convince AG Malaya to agree on the question of removing that ataupun abolish it from federal bawanya ke Sarawak. So what I'm talking here is, can you imagine the number of group, ethnic group, sub-ethnic group we have in Sarawak? 70 over. If I'm not mistaken, around 78. Now, if you cannot adjust yourself to live among yourself like that, you die lah. We cannot. We have to accommodate everybody. We have to accept everybody. That's why dalam Quran, kalau sebagai orang Islam, kamu Tuhan kamu, aku Tuhan aku. Jadi tak ada masalah langsung. That's why I can pergi kedai alai, I can pergi kedai terjanggut, I can pergi kedai red corner. All this. Kena kita must live. Sarawak will never change. It continue to be like that. Comprised of 70 over ethnic group, sub-ethnic group, make up of so many Muslim, Christian, or various group of Christian, and various group of we have the Buddhists, we have the Hindus, and we also have another sub outside this one. So jadi we have to accept that one. That is why segregation will cause problem to us. And we must continue to remember all the time, it doesn't matter what your qualification, what your status, you must always remember this. I was the first member of parliament who built church. Do you know or not? Long time ago, people couldn't build church. You go to Batang Lupa, you tanya dengan Temenggung Sebangan. He's Temenggung, Anthony Nipak. Temenggung Nipak. Temenggung Anthony Nipak. He was my teacher. Abang Man School Semunjan. His father was tuan rumah Bajong Ilik. Minta duit dengan saya, kemulah gereja. At that time, kalau nak makan duit MRP, you have to write to Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir time. Got to write. It took you months and months before you can see the approval. Long after that, then the new year come, your duit dah hilang dah. Then the new MRP tunggu. Then it will take you long time, otherwise you will not see. That is why nobody help. Cuma duit MRP boleh dipakai macam ni aja. You know what I did? I said to pengeluh ni, Pak, okay, berkatuk kita. Tubuh Siti Jawatankuasa Kampung. Tak usah diberi atas nama gereja. Beri atas nama Jawatankuasa Kampung. Dengan syarat Jawatankuasa Kampung tu berjanji dengan saya that this money will be for building the gereja. That's why I build gereja di Kasinduk, 3 gereja. First I build Anglican. Kata satu grup lagi Kasinduk tu YB bisik 3 kami koya. Bisik di tu 7-day Adventist, bisik Anglican, bisik Roman Catholic. Bukan itu. Jadi pola semualah. Pola 3-3, 3 kampung kecil, pola 3. I built 3. Then jauh tempat yang mari. Kalau nak pergi daripada pagi, malam boleh sampai. Jauh ke Sinduk, pendalaman Siak Raja Raya. Bila dah siap rumahnya, I jemput Datuk Geramong Juna. Dapat pakai helikopter. Ya, assistant minister nak. Datuk minta tolong you rasmikan gereja-gereja kami di Kesinduk nun. So I brought him there. Sekali nyanangga sige katanya 3 lah. So jadi sige pergi semua 3. So I build using that technique, using molah Jawatankuasa, beri duit dengan Jawatankuasa, but build gereja. So Kesinduk 3 gereja, di Bajong Elik sikit gereja, di Tambe sikit gereja, di Sungai Nyamuk I give all the pew hingga sidaknya ngata YB. Tahu kami pew yang ilak kami nyebut nama dia tu. Tak usah kata. Pengusik pun nama bagus. Sekali pengusik suk arti namanya dalam pew. Situ bila balik kucing orang minta bell for the gereja pun saya beri semua. All in the name of Judge Jawatankuasa. Do you know that I built di depan temple, Indian temple ya? I give 1+ million I get from Datuk Najib to build that temple. Kini tu dipolah oleh sangka baru. Tapi dewan di belakang 1+ million cost. It was from the money I got from federal. And then di Semeriang Baru, Engkacok was the man behind it. The first time I came 2004, dia sembahyang dalam kedai di atas. I said, how to bekerja di atas tingkat 3 tu Engkacok? That's what we can afford lah YB katanya. Engkacok bekerja di Holiday Inn mari. Then I build them the gereja. Now it's one of the biggest, nearly 2 million worth. Area uniform baru nambah baru kena dibah burit yang empty of tanah. Entah boleh hakisan. So the gereja itself was 1+ million dari federal money, and I got uniform to help me to do the painting. before I finish my term. So that's why the whole idea is just to show people not only Melayu ke masjid dan surau, tetapi every of those belief must support. Di naknya kenapa nak kampung di hulu sekali, kampung Sida naknya Mina Renu Mina apa nama kampung ni? Puih. You know that Puih is Wang Selakuk. It's the only Selakuk. The only Selakuk long house. Kampung Selakuk, Puih. I build the rumah tradisi sidaknya. You know, dia makin rumah beranyi padi. I build all those. Jadi that's the same thing I did in that one. I got the most number of pakaian Iban. You know, this silver thing. Until Tan Sri Piang nanya, sini kita orang boleh duit. YB kami mana kok sidak dia. Jadi you spread your kindness, you spread your assistance, you spread your concern, you spread your one to everybody, because everybody need your help. You are not a YB for one race. Same thing with me. I'm not the governor for Melayu. I'm the governor for every single human being in Sarawak.
Sarawak maju makmur. Apa raman supaya visi ini tercapai?
First thing tadi pasal stability of politics, stability of social, all those things. Perpaduan kaum, those are very important. It's a very basis of success. The reason why Malaysia have been very successful for nearly 20 plus years, we are very successful because it was very, very stable government. Other countries around us besides Singapore, not stable, not able to maju themselves. So when we become political kelang kabut, since 2008, that's why hanya kelang kabut Malaysia now. Other countries become more stable than us. Stability of the people, based on what I said earlier on, to be concerned dengan all races, all ethnic, all group, all religion, everybody. So the leader of the country, the state, is not the leader for one race alone. He is the leader for every race, everybody in this state. That become the basic principle. The next thing is about education. I just finished with the UTS. So I said, UTS form for reason to support azam orang negeri Sarawak, angan-angan negeri Sarawak ataupun objektif negeri Sarawak to industrialize by 2030. So it's a tall order. You have to produce all the thinking and the technological skill from them. So what I'm telling them is nothing like education. If I have not had an education, I just end up become nugal padi di kampung lah. So that's the education is still the very basic to grow. And I give a good example dengan Sida di UTS. Jadi masa Sida nanya dengan saya, father and son. Let's say the son is a graduate masters in LKIM perikanan. And the father, primary 6 pun si ada, primary 4 pun si ada. Beri jalan dengan dua. Siapa dapat banyak udang? Jawapannya, the son with a master's degree will not be able to beat the father because experience tells. But the father have been the father for last 60 years. Umur dah 60 tahun, masih je pergi jalan ke sungai je lah. But then this son is no longer going to jala di sungai all the time. The reason is he can go to the bank, he can go and see the government, he can go and look for assistance. He can grow. Most probably the next 15 years, 10 years time, he will no longer nikam jala lagi. He may be nangga orang nikam jala dah because he become the boss. But how to be the boss if you have no education? That's why this one never grow. Nya stable aja macamnya. Tetapi the one with education will continue to grow. That's why, go back, education is the key to the future. So now we see what is the state doing. Abang Jo is very, very progressive. The most progressive ketua kerajaan di dahulu Malaysia lah, kalau kita nak anggap. Is thinking of the renewable energy. A lot of people just thinking renewable energy is renewable energy. What is that? Renewable energy is anything that you produce today is marketable in Europe, marketable in America, marketable in Japan, marketable in Korea. Any country that concerned with environment. But if your product is not from the renewable energy country, your product is rejected by all the countries that I mentioned. So that's why the effort made by Abang Jo has far-reaching consequences, because he wants to turn Sarawak into a renewable energy country. So therefore, what are the requirements of becoming a renewable energy country? He is talking about ethanol, he is talking about hydrogen, he is talking about carbon capture, carbon storage. He's talking about so many things, about solar, he's talking about cascading hydro, he's talking about hydro. The reason why Indonesia mau membak kita bersama, because our expertise in managing hydro. Tidak di mana-mana tempat, Singapura pun ataupun mana-mana, never have the money. But they never had the experience of managing hydro. We have. Can you imagine the tiny Sarawak, besar badan lah. Tapi kita grow, kita pun population kecil comparatively. Tetapi, and yet the skill that we have means something to a lot of people. And this is why, apa yang di-frame, didudu oleh Dato' Abang Jo Kenneth Tu, going into the area of the future. Climate change is real. Kenapa hujan tu bulan Oktober, okey lah hujan. Mun bulan 7, bulan 8 hujan heran kita. During my young days, bulan 7, bulan 8 nang kering sekali. Si ada hujan. Kini itu Ogos pun hujan, September pun hujan. Jauh lagi bulan November memang hujan. Jadi why this thing, it shows to you climate change. Climate change is real. So what he's doing is to make Sarawak well known to the world simply because of renewable energy, the effort toward mitigating the situation of climate change. So jadi ilmu yang daripada universiti become very, very important. That's why education is very important for our young people. And then it must not have any differences between who seeking education. Siapa yang ada kemampuan masuk education. Kerajaan Sarawak give all the facilities, the money, the support. It's up to every individual Sarawakian to get it.
Climate change and green energy is on Sarawak's agenda. You were the minister for NRE at one time. Your views on this?
Well, kalau in Angga, when Malaysia become the signatory to Paris Agreement 2015, I was the head of the delegation for Malaysia. And I was very controversial masa climate change full meeting. Obama White House called my office, according to my officer, 22 times because I caused problem di Paris. The reason is because I want to stick to the rules, not following the American pressure. So they got angry with me. They ring up my office to look for me, looking for me in KL. I was in Paris already, leading the delegation for the negotiation of Paris Agreement. Jadi dalam keadaan demikian, it become one of the world first multilateral agreement di-endorse oleh semua negara within the period of less than 3 months. Less than 3 months. Kena the meeting completed on the 12th of December 2015 and ratification was completed in April 2016. Daripada sampai bulan April saja, January up to April. And can you imagine, this shows that every country in the world endorsed the keputusan di Paris pada masa saya. Why we slowed down? Because the change of the President America. Because Trump didn't believe in climate change. Unlike Obama and John Kerry, Trump didn't believe in climate change. That's why he started again di pipeline daripada Alaska mengembat petroleum ke Central America because of money aja cerita Trumpnya. But when Trump lost and then somebody else took over and it neutralized Trump pun earlier policy, which is not among the deniers, they call it, the deniers in climate change. Climate change is real, but the whole country actually, every state I check, is believing in climate change. Maknanya, your business, your economy, your everything, your name, your reputation is all relying on you believing in the climate change. So when Abang Joe become the premier, I'm not talking about being a premier, the premier personality promoting climate change pun cost of action dengan renewable energy-nya, that's why he become world famous. That will attract FDI. FDI bring money to the country. FDI will bring industry to the country. That also mbak segala ada employment, kekayaan. Yang tinggal what are the thing that we must be ready with their requirement, the investors' requirement. People who can work in the industry that they want. This is where the TVET, UTS, university, UNIMAS become very important to fulfill the industrial need to propagate the idea di bolah le premier. This all new technology, hydrogen new technology, methanol that he's doing is one of the biggest in the world, one of the fourth biggest in the world, methanol. Pharmaceutical and petrokimia pun teknologi. Jadi, have we got the people there or not? And this is why every leader must look at it, not what just listen to Premier there, to fulfill what Premier has wanted. Otherwise, you'll be talking alone. Kasihan dengannya.
Sir, what are your hopes and aspirations for Sarawak's future?
Saya Nangga, the setting has been set by Premier. The setting has been set by Premier. The government officers is being set by Premier. And then what left for us is the education just now to fulfill the technical and scientific need of the nation. The manpower kita got to produce, jangan harapan orang daripada luar. I gave instance dengan sidak UTS tadi, how we can fail if we use other scientists from outside, not using our own. Abang Joe inform us, during the breaking up of the molecules of hydrogen, orang kita pun scientist. Ini bahan from local. Can you imagine if this fellow run away, we lost a scientist. So punya foreigner, likely he's going away with that knowledge. That's why we must have the people to continue nak apa propagate lehnya ya, to support him, so that we have a lot pool of skill and scientific group of people who support their whole ideas. And the framework is done by the one. As far as I'm concerned, you maintain the good relationship among ourselves, I mean integration among the one. Kita boleh hidup in harmony among ourselves. Kita boleh hidup sekira lagi dengan siapa, what is your religion, what is your culture, what is your language, whatever. That one, put it behind us. We live as Sarawakian, as one, look for the progress of the state through education, get technical skill, get scientific knowledge, get the whatever specialities that need to serve the national industrial need. Then insyaAllah perpaduan become the asas for the growth of Sarawak into becoming what we aspire Sarawak to be. Industrial nation with high income. The high income I have always spoken, I spoke to Premier as well. Not only Tanggalam Bandar, not Tanggalam Bandar aja. Orang Kuching, orang Bintulu, orang Sibu, orang Miri, all will go up because the spillover from urbanization. Tapi the situasi di Sarawak itself, by virtue of culture and tradition and undang-undang kita, orang banyak masih di luar bandar. And this orang luar bandar tu require some kind of motivation, assistance and support and training, include education sekali. Macam mana kita membimbing yang di dalam bandar. Supaya they too will become macam orang di bandar juga. What orang bandar take for granted must be supplied to them as well. Opportunity then right to have good education, good health, good clinic, good facilities and all that kind of stuff. Jadi supaya orang luar bandar, the gap between the have and the have not yang dikata dalam New Economic Policy mari, jangan continue to grow. Orang bandar jadi tinggi di atas tu, orang luar tu. Unlike any other country, jangan compare ourselves dengan Australia, because the number of Australian living in the rural area so small, they can forget about them. Macamnya juga kalau kita di New Zealand, the number of people living in the rural area, those in New Zealand living in the rural area, they're propagating the idea of farming. You know the sheep farming? I went to visit one of the sheep farm. They have thousands of hectares and just a small community of people, but then they own millions of sheep. Can you imagine? They're so rich. They're so rich. So we cannot compare ourselves with them. So this is why orang yang kaya di luar bandar, macam orang harvesting kita pun natural resources, should share and share alike with the local. They cannot become just rich themselves, go back to the bandar having a palace and go to the bandar and look at all people masih living in that situation. So the government must assist those people to grow as well. So supaya the gap between the have and the have not, between the people who progress into high income and the people who survive on the low income di luar bandar. Kalau we can achieve that part, insyaAllah, with the population we have, we can grow.
Tun, kita move on to soalan human interest. Sir, what do you do in your free time?
Soalan hobi tu, saya said hobi sebenarnya. Sebenarnya I used to play tennis. In school I used to throw javelin, I used to become discus, shot put, semua lah. Tetapi I went to the jungle at the age of 23, and then I damaged this one. So it's my body is not straight, you know. Kalau you naga I berdiri, you find my body a little bit singit, and that's why when people fit my unit pakaian, I find some difficulties. My tangan little bit longer one shot. The reason is because of my damaged shoulder. Oleh kena dalam hutan mari masa lampil force. Tu berlaku masa lampil force lah. So I cannot have any strenuous hobby anymore. I cannot even play golf. Do you know that if I play golf, natu lalu pergi sama golf non. And I play tennis. I used to play a lot of tennis. I can bila setengah jam dah main tennis, I smash macam tu, tangan tu diam lah. Smash tu, datuk tergugur. Mun tergugur is not, no, mau 4 inci macam ya, tergugur ke bawah. Bila yang tergugur ke bawah, I can tell you, it's the excruciating pain. So painful, you'll cry. And nobody can touch me. I am the only one who can put it here. I nearly got shot di Tulai. Crossfire between communists and my own men because of this one dislocation. Until one fellow by the name of Sergeant Lom, he terajang my burit. I used to put in my book. If you read my, ada enggak? He terajang my burit cuma, tuan katanya, down. Down mean you must menerap lah. And I got to adjust this thing, nak duduk, adjust. Jadi terajang lelom di belakang. Lepas dia pulang dah habis bertembak ya, Bu. Dia kata, tuan kata, minta maaf tadi katanya. Nada kita nemu bakaning ngatur rutai bakanya. Nak bedak kenuan ke kami semua berketuk kan. Memang sikok aja bakanya. Tangan saya tu tandanya. Jadi terpaksa gurin macam yang ngatur. Kejap, dengarlah peruh. Pum, 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 pum. So, saya sih dapat main lagi. No, jadi my hobby is basically reading and writing. I write a lot. Si jadi buku lah. Nulis saja.
You travel a lot. What is your dream holiday destination?
Saya pergi cuti nak. Pergi ke Morocco. Orang nanya, kenapa pergi ke Sia? Patut orang pergi London kah, pergi Paris kah, pergi New York kah, pergi Tokyo kah? No, I went to Morocco. It's simply to trace the route of Ibn Khaldun. So I'm no longer interested in what other people normally see. Shopping, apa and that, doesn't attract me lah. I'm more interested in looking into history, the kesan history. My family pun sejarah. My anak-anak tu tanya itu. We have visited almost all the great wonders of the world. We have been to Great Wall of China. We have been to Greece to see the Pantheon and see that semua ya. And then we went even to Macedonia. Nothing in Macedonia. Nagapala Alexander aja. Simply because this is where Alexander the Great was born and brought up. So we went to trace into all these things oleh si. Jadi saya mun kata kita sini saya nak pergi. Saya ingin nak pergi dan cari istana Shogun yang terakhir di Jepun.
You also read a lot. What is the book that inspires you the most?
Ya, okey dah. Buku beri inspirasi itu is buku yang saya baca is so many. Because I got a collection of nearly 7,000 books. Masa saya mula my DBA, I bought 800 buku management. Kena lectures ya sejam 2 jam aja mencukupi. Walaupun 75% of the lectures I attended lah. Tapi more on kena kerja, relying on baca buku. So segala buku dak Jack Welch, dak apa sidak management tu guru tu semua dibaca saya lah. Sidak John Cotta dak apa indah sama ada daripada sidak John Naisbitt, sidak Kenichi Umeh semua dibaca saya semua buku saya. In order to understand what people think. Jadi bila saya madah why the country like Russia after breaking down produce less matters to the world, barang-barang untuk dijual ke dunia as compared to one single America alone. Padahal 2/3 of the scientists, engineers, technicians are living in this Soviet Union. Why is that? Jadi again we are confronted with the idea, management skill, hospitality, everything, mindset development, and why. Kalau kita nangga sudut education, why education produce best motor car, Germany, and best plane macam dia Hungary dan sebagainya, and best mathematician macam China dan Jepun, Korea, and how many Nobel Peace winners di negeri-negeri as compared to America. Again, we got to study education systemnya. Mendorongkan kepada people thinking of other people rather than concentrating in serving the need of the government. Jadi saya buku tu bila kita nanya apa buku ditulis baca. Sebenarnya buku yang memotivate saya yang banyak sekali ialah Senior Anthology Poetry. Buku dibaca saya lampau teri mari. Senior Anthology Poetry. Buku yang nama Senior Anthology Poetry. Ailang mari bercari lagi buku ya. Bercari seluruh dunia nangga Google mencari buku ya. Because this is where the buku macam if motivational punya tu saya di Bono apa saya baca sikit-sikit lah. It's not really motivating me. Still I'm motivated by writers of the 17th century, 18th century, 19th century.
What is your approach to your book collection?
Koleksi saya macam-macam. Kebanyakannya is during the period of time. My early reading habit was basically masa saya ada duit. I subscribed. I was one of the longest serving subscriber to Reader's Digest. I subscribed Reader's Digest when I was in the jungle. Also, I bring Reader's Digest. Okay, baca. Ada masa macam-macam. So, Reader's Digest. It's a macam mix of macam-macam benda interest dalamnya. And then later on, when I was in school, I read buku macam Battle of Britain. Ada yang pernah dengar cerita Battle of Britain? I even read Dennis Rovin. I read Dennis Rovin, almost all Dennis Rovin book I baca. Battle of Britain book, series all Britain I baca. And that's macam masih masa zaman sekolah. And selepas ya, my interest change to something poetic, macam poetry buku. Jadi saya ada buku-buku lama by Charles Dickens, Shakespeare, semua saya ada. I baca Homer, I baca Tolstoy, Homer, semua I baca. Jadi, of course, my craze was also about the history of China. Do you know that I have read all the book on Kondo Heroes? You know how thick Kondo Heroes is? Nearly 1,000 pages. I have read all the buku of Kondo Heroes volume and include the new Kondo Heroes. So one book 1 year produced. So you got to wait for 1 year lah. Datang in between I can read any other kind of thing. But generally I read that kind of stuff. So if you look at Chinese classic, you read the Kondo Heroes and you read the Watamajin. It's all the Chinese classic. It teaches you all the movies that you saw, fighting, apa indah nama Ling Yun lah, you nama Lo Lie lah, Cheng Hong Lie lah, you nama Wang Yi lah. You see all this name acting in many name movies, basically all based on one Watamajin, the other one is Kondo Heroes. So jadi you can split them just like that. Only later date they may produce something like macam Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon apa macamnya. So my habit is if I see a movie, I check the background. So for instance, I see the Shaolin heroes. So I look back into Shaolin. Is it true the Muslims were involved in defending of Shaolin against Mongolian conqueror? Defending China. And then I even can tell you when the Genghis Khan start coming from Mongolia's area, conquering using the Tejin's group yang banyak disebut orang sebagai Hakka from the northern part of China, going down into the southern part of China. But they are stopped by the Song dynasty bordering Genghis Yangtze River. Jadi I read most of the Chinese classic. I read Chinese classic and I read history. History of England, history of Europe, and particularly how the Saladin became so great.
Sir, you written a number of books. How did you get into writing?
Okay. The writing is motivated by situation. Bila saya ada minat lah, bukan pandai sih nak sangat. Bila saya dalam pengakap, I wrote 2 books on pengakap. I wrote 2 books on pengakap. One is the philosophy of pengakap law, and the other is the journal, how to organize a jamboree. How to organize a jamboree, not just organize Malaysia jamboree. Malaysia jamboree is already set jamboree. All you do is just follow the system. Organize a jamboree is to start a jamboree which never been started before. That's organize a jamboree. Like for instance, I organized a Bim Yaga jamboree, 2000. Bim Yaga jamboree, 2000. I started in 1995, starting with requesting Geneva, head office of Scout, to get me the approval to organize jamboree. And then campaigning toward all the members of WASM, World Scout Organization, for support. And then go to all the ASEAN countries so that Bim Yaga Jamboree can be named Bim Yaga, because we need all the support of ASEAN countries. That's why I'm one of the very few who received International Scout Award of Philippines, International Scout Award of Indonesia, because of that effort. Jadi I mula buku lah, tulis buku. Finally it become book, not really that good, but it's there. Nulis buku. And then I became deputy speaker. I look through dalam library, ada sige pun buku written on Parliament Malaysia. Can you imagine, we have been in existence since 57, not a single book written on Parliament. So I said, this is about time to write it. I have time. Being a speaker, deputy speaker, ada banyak break. Lain daripada trip overseas. Speaker pun nak rajin nak pergi. Kalau kita siapa pergilah, diam dia dopi saja. So I got time. So I call researcher to do research. When I call researcher, I train the researcher. Today she is the chief researcher of Parliament Malaysia, Wan Nur Zaleha, to do research. And then she said to me, I learned a lot more daripada I learned in the university from being a researcher to me. So dalam research, in the course researching, do you know that I even read the first minute of the meeting of the Federal Council in 1909. Not many people have a glance of it. It only found in one place, the Library of University Malaya. Jadi I nulis buku ya, and then the demand come about. The first series came, then somebody said to me, you know, Wan kata, Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah. You know, he said, all the date that you mentioned there, I major in history, University Malaya, katanya. I know all the date. But one thing I don't understand, why the date? Nobody explained to me until I read your book to explain the date. Malayan Union, why Malayan Union? I explained why Malayan Union was formed. And then the failure of Malayan Union, of course, quite a number of explanations here and there you can find. And then it turned into Federal Agreement 1948. Jadi, my writing motivated by sometimes the situation. Jadi, bila orang kata bagus buku ya, and then some university, school even call me, you should produce new one. So, jadi writing become a natural thing to me. I have written a lot. I wrote articles in various journals, international journals. And I have written, I think, more than 20 articles in Commonwealth Parliamentary Journal on the judiciary, on Parliament Malaysia, on the kehakiman, on separation of powers.
What is your favorite food?
Saya senang sige je. Sama ada rumah di restoran ke, asalnya kambing. Mutton, I love mutton. Kata orang, kadang-kadang sepatu makan mutton 78. I still love mutton.
Sekiranya tidak menjadi polis, peguam dan ahli politik, what would you do instead?
Oh, saya suka lam kebun. Saya suka nawa buah. Dari biak saya nangga. Saya was brought up in that situation. My grandfather had 14 acres of coconut plantation. At that time, those days in 1950s, is a big one. So inside there we have coffee. So we were self-contained. We never need to buy coffee. We harvested from our own coffee di kebun. Pisang. So we have coffee, we have pisang, we have keladi Betawi, we have keladi benar, we have macam-macam lah. You just name it, semua ada sia. Apart from the main produknya kelapa, nyo. So, jadi I got the name and all those things in our local jargon lah.
Sudah tentu Tun ada banyak pengalaman dan kisah hidup. What is the life lesson that stuck with you the most?
Saya pergi biak. Masa saya pergi biak, dia selalu saya kelakar dengan anak saya lah. It is a philosophy, actually. My mak, my abah. I was so biak at that time. How it got stuck in my brain, I don't know why. My abah jok me oti keben. When yang jok me oti keben, you know keben masin. Jok keben masin, bila nak keben masin, si makan. Masih mau. Then my abah give me lecture. Give biak you know. My abah said, Junaidi katanya, never, jangan sama sekali ngata si mau makan. Makan dulu. Munnya si nyaman, bau ngata. Mun kau si mau nganya, bau jangan makan. So pengajaran yang pertama I terima from my father. So I still, all the time I remember that part. Tapi banyak lagi perkara-perkara lain diingat saya lah. Si mau ngaji, si turun ngaji sepagi. Ngaji selepas subuh tau. Subuh ngaji. Saya duduk rumah kami on state macam ya. Besar rumah di Pendamarin. Berdiri saya. Jadi mak dengar, dengar suara Junaidi ngaji tu. Sebelah rumah Haji Kolek pun. Dengar suara saya ada. Nya turun di bawah rumah, rupanya saya masih bawah rumah. Main gasin. Pagi-pagi hari. Mak saya kata, orang si ada pelajaran tu, enggak layaknya jadi umpan alih. Enggak layak Junaidi kata, mun kau si pandai ngaji, si pandai sekolah, layak jadi umpan alih je. Istilah orang di kawasan Sebuyo, Periso, Lingga, umpan alih tu ialah nangkap boyak ataupun nangkap iu. Jadi manusia yang dikait dia labuh ke laut lah supaya hiu nangkapnya. Ya enggak manusia layak kalau si ada persekolahan dan si ada pandai ngaji. Ya mak saya ada.
Mungkin ramai yang tak tahu, but you are a big movie fan. What kind of movies do you watch?
Saya nang action movie lah. Saya escapism pun ya. I had a collection of over 600 over this Chinese movie, short fighting movie, kung fu movie. 600 over collection. Nya ngikut seasonnya. Mari saya suka dengan Wangi, saya suka dengan Tilung, saya sampai Tilung lama. Tahu tak dengan nama ya? Wangi, Tilung, Di Wei Chiang, Alexander Fusheng. Lepas ya baru Bruce Lee datang. Saya sih minat gila dengan Bruce Lee. Bukannya si refine gila movement Bruce Lee. I don't like David Chiang, tapi I like Tilung. Tetapi bila Tilung dengan David Chiang bersama, always David Chiang overshadow Tilung. Tapi saya suka dengan Tilung bila badannya tegapnya kacak juga. Jadi shoot nanggal lah. Lepas ya, then came I never like Chow Yun Fat. Kenanya mari cerita gambling ajak banyak. I sukanya mula bilanya start acting in A Better Tomorrow. When he start acting in Better Tomorrow. And then lepas ya Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Kini tu Donnie Yen lah. Bila Donnie Yen nang si ada movie-nya saya miss lah. I never miss Donnie Yen movie. Sebab ya bilanya datang mari saya bergambar dengan masih gambar saya. Gambar Donnie Yen. Macam Donnie Yen juga buat accent. You remember the industry pun the progress of movie industry. First Hong Kong. Nobody could beat Hong Kong in action movie. Then Korea was nothing, far behind. Korea was no good. Then Japan. Japan, remember the Blind Swordman of Japan? The Blind Swordman, nang very good. I used to watch quite a number. Then later on, obviously in the 2000 something, I switched to Korea because Korean movie become very, very much better. The only problem with Korean movie is muka sudahnya semua sama aja. Tangan seorang tu noni nak tadi bah. Yang saya sudah mau nak mula hidung semua pergi sini nah. Muka tiru sikit, hidung naik lagi, buang gemuk ke situ, pergi ke Korea lah.
Talking about historical figures, who is your favorite?
Saya nang yang saya minat. The first of apa nama tadi? Muhammad, the first of Turkey. Mari. Kalau kita nangka cerita ada Ertugrul, ada nangka kita cerita Ertugrul. The resurrection of Ertugrul. Anak Ertugrul. He became the conqueror of Europe. He was the first one to the Constantinople. Jadi this guy nang Aminat. He's very real.
Tun, you look very sharp and fit. apa rahsia atau amalan yang boleh Tun kongsikan?
Saya nang si ada amalan. Saya si ada amalan hanya sige aja. Tahu tak? It's a real thing. Saya menang kita. Tanya kita pegawai saya. Apa benda yang I si dapat solve malam, don't tell me about it in the evening. Pukul 8 ke 7 macamnya. No need to tell me about it. Because I cannot solve the problem. Unless emergency, according to the rule, procedure, saya perlu dibuat maklum, boleh maklum dengan saya lah. Tapi mun satu problem, administration ke benda-benda yang gila, tapi pagi tahu malam, semua pada pegawai yang kerja dengan saya, sama adanya Sandy ke, Wan Hamzah ke, Fahmi ke mari, Fadli ke, siapa-siapa aja. Never tell me at night because I want to sleep well. Don't disturb my sleep because I cannot solve your problem. I will solve your problem tomorrow. So tomorrow morning first thing, bab yalah saya pun nak masalah bekerja sebagai menteri. I said, tiap-tiap orang yang di-interview saya kata macam tu aja. Okay? Your phone must not be switched off until 12 o'clock at night. Because my phone will be on until that time. I bangun pukul 5 pagi, pukul 5:30 pagi, then my phone will be on that time. So you can on your phone at that time. But the whole night, your phone must be on. I call anytime. Because I said, I have no time to call, making my call ringing twice. So there's one officer that I have, namanya Fahmi. Betul-betul my telefon, dua orang, Sandy dengan Fahmi. Dua-duanya dah dimbak saya situ, tapi ni orang Melaya sih boleh kerja situ. Di sana. So he cannot follow me. He's the two guy, walaupun dalam jamban, he mesti membak telefon. Telefon saya sih boleh ring more than twice. Ring, mesti ada dia jawab. Because I have no time to wait for you. Don't wait for me to call you another second time. You work with me or you leave my office. That's why my office was so efficient. I solved many things in the short period of time. Because you are going to support me. If you are lackluster, then how am I going to serve? So my philosophy is, don't make me unhappy before I go to sleep because I can solve your problem. Because this is administrative matter. Ataupun berkelahi dengan bini, tang adanya nangis datang depan dia. Si malam-malam tinggalnya pulang okey. Because of his age, he can sleep just like that. I got to think, mana kesian biak tu. So I said, don't. Your problem that you cannot be solved that malam, jangan tell me malam. Tomorrow morning, first thing you tell me. Then we try to solve it. And that is why I make one second thing. I plenty banyak. I joke a lot. Tapi make sure that you don't plenty more than me. My officers must be very strict. Jangan berpelanting dengan me because I am the only one who berpelanting dengan you. So I never have a problem. Unhappiness is the one I never want to have in my life. When my wife passed away, I nangis. I'm very unhappy. Tetapi I cannot allow myself to be unhappy long time. Because philosophy is, when a person died, that's it. You kenang. But you are the one who continue to survive, to live. And I never get angry. Tanya dengan anak-anak saya tu. Do you know that I seldom get angry, tegal mecah barang, munuh barang. My BMW, Jaguar, beli atas nama bini lah. Baru seminggu, ya Allah, the only car of that kind in Kuching, you know, when I bought it. The only car, brand new. Pom, berlanggar di jalan satu. Siapa hal, segala siapa? Apa hal lah? Hanya tahu lagi ya. Do you know people who said I would be very, very angry. I was not angry. You know why? What is the point of getting angry? The thing is already damaged anyway. You get angry, that doesn't jadi apa nama tadi transformer. No, it doesn't. So why you blame nyuruhnya susah hati? No need to go anymore. Only let down, get yourself cool down yourself. Then you tell, please be careful. This is very dangerous. So my hidup is always I maintain happiness, happy, never to get sad, and if the thing philosopher, if you go to my office, there is something I put on that wall of my office. It's been there for the last 40 over years, and using the old frame. And that's my that one. I never ask anybody, and I never get disappointed if I ask you don't give, because I have no right to be angry, no right to be disappointed, because it's not mine.
Last question. Tun, what makes you happy?
When my old children are all with me, as far as I'm concerned, my family comes first. My family always comes first. Ada adik-adik, I don't know who's that one was it. I said, okay, Sandy, cancel the program. I don't want to go to that one because today is something with my family. Because nobody going to cry for you except your family. Nobody going to support you except your family. Your family is the one. Really the one. All the friends, all the colleagues, all the office, no matter how good they are, will never beat your family in terms of really to take care of you. So jadi kami orang di rumah happy semua lah. happy semua lah. Anything else, no matter how hard you work, this objektifnya masih the same. So si worried lah, mesti ada duit, si kaya, si apa dah. Actually, with you see, if I don't have any big saving. I survive on pension. I don't have anything, no business. I nearly become very rich. Unfortunately, it never happened. And I used to nearly cry to see it. It could have happened. Tapi it didn't happen, so I take it as well, that's it. Mungkin dah dari takdir macam ya.